You ever hear a song that just feels different, like a total rebellion against everything else you're hearing? Well, today we're jumping into a musical remix that completely changed the game. We are talking about bebop.
Okay, so think about this. Have you ever put on a jazz playlist? One song has this smooth, easy vibe that makes you want to dance, but then the next track hits and it's like a million notes a minute, and your brain is just trying to catch up, right? Well, that huge difference, that's what we're digging into. That intense, complicated sound, that's the revolution called bebop.
So, to really get it, let's hop in a time machine back to the 1940s. The music scene back then was ruled by one thing: swing. This was the pop music of its time, for real. Think of it as the top 40 playlist of the era. It was played by massive bands, it was super catchy, and it was made for one thing: dancing. It was the soundtrack to everybody's life.
And you can see just how different they were right here. If swing was like a big, fun party game anyone could jump into, then bebop, well, bebop was the pro tournament. You had swing with its huge bands playing easy rhythms for the crowd, but bebop was all about small, tight groups of musicians playing super fast, complex stuff. Not for the audience, but for each other. The whole goal shifted from making you dance to making you listen.
So, why the big change? I mean, why fix what wasn't broken? Well, imagine you're an amazing pro gamer, but you're stuck playing the tutorial level over and over and over again. You'd get so bored, right? That is exactly how the best young musicians felt playing swing. They were tired of it. They knew they could do more. They wanted to crank up the difficulty.
And this quote right here, it just nails it. This whole thing wasn't an accident. It was a choice. These players deliberately set out to create something that was the total opposite of background music. They were building something complex, something challenging, something that was art, and it demanded your full attention. Okay, so how'd they do it? If you're going to make a brand new game, you need a new set of rules. And that's exactly what they did. They basically took the source code for jazz and completely rewrote it from scratch to be faster, more complicated, and way more unpredictable.
So rule number 1, crank the speed. Like all the way up. They took the tempo and switched it to expert mode. The music was played incredibly fast, which took an insane amount of skill. It creates this intense, almost frantic energy. It's kind of like watching a professional gamer pull off a perfect speed run. It's thrilling and just a little bit chaotic.
Next up, rule number 2, they changed the code itself, the melodies and harmonies. Instead of short, catchy tunes, bebop melodies are long and complex, twisting and turning in ways you just don't see coming. And the chords were packed with extra notes, making everything sound richer. It was like they were speaking a secret, more advanced language that only the best of the best could understand.
But this right here, this is the heart of it all. Rule number 3, improvisation. Making music up on the spot became the main event. In swing, a solo was a nice little brick. In bebop, the solos were the point. They were fast, they were brilliant, and they were a chance for each musician to show off their unique personality. Honestly, the best way to think about it is like a freestyle rap battle, but with saxophones and trumpets. Pure, real-time creativity.
So you've got this new game, these new rules, but where was it actually being played? This wasn't happening on the big stages or on the radio, no way. This was a completely underground movement, born late at night, in very specific places, by a handful of musical geniuses.
And every scene needs its heroes, its all-stars. For bebop, these were the pioneers. You had Charlie Parker on sax, who was like a virtuoso speedster. Nobody could play faster or more creatively. Then there was Dizzy Gillespie on trumpet, the charismatic architect of the sound. And on piano, you had Thelonious Monk, the unpredictable genius who played chords and rhythms that nobody had ever even imagined before.
And forget about glamorous ballrooms. This sound was born in the exact opposite setting. Picture small, crowded, smoky little clubs in Harlem, New York. It's late at night, and musicians would show up after their regular, boring dance gigs. These clubs were their laboratories, their gyms, where they could experiment, push each other, and see who was the best.
And a huge piece of the puzzle was just how small the bands were. 4 to 5 musicians, that's it. Compare that to the huge swing bands with 10, 15 people. A smaller team meant they could be more agile. It gave everyone more space to have a solo and let them react to each other's ideas in an instant. It proves that sometimes a smaller crew gives you way more creative freedom. So this was way more than just a new style that a few people played in some clubs. No, this remix, it went viral, and its impact went way, way beyond Harlem.
changing music forever. It kicked off this incredible chain reaction. First, it just raised the bar for what it meant to be a professional musician. You had to be seriously good to play this stuff. Then it inspired other styles. Some musicians heard bebop and went the other way, creating the more relaxed, cool jazz. Others loved the intensity and doubled down, creating hard bop. But the biggest thing? That focus on individual skill and making stuff up on the spot inspired musicians in basically every genre from then on.
But if you want to know the single biggest change, it's this. Because of bebop, jazz stopped being seen as just fun dance music. It became respected as a serious art form. It was something you would go to a club just to sit and listen to, the same way you would go to a concert hall. That was a total game changer.
So if you take just one thing away from all this, let it be this right here. Bebop proved that sometimes the only way to create something new and amazing is to look at the old rules, decide they're not good enough, and have the courage to write your own.
And that brings me to my last question. For you, think about the music you're listening to right now. Who are the rule breakers today? Who is creating a sound that's completely new, maybe even a little weird to some people at first? Because chances are, that's where the next musical revolution is happening right now.